I've had a headache from crying so much.
Was that a murder hornet? Be gone.
Can't look at a baby. I can't look at my sister and say this without crying. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am filming. It's a very sad day. I've already cried like 50 times. I'm definitely gonna cry in this. But I'm... Can't look at a baby. I can't look at my sister and say this without crying. Driving back to Sydney, and I put up some questions on my Instagram saying, oh, you know, I'm gonna be bored, I've got 10 hours, so I'm gonna like answer some questions and do like a Q&A and like just ramble about shit and probably cry. But I'm almost ready to go. Someone has been giving me ultimate puppy eyes to stay. Haven't you? You've been trying to convince me to stay? It's working. I'm so tempted not to leave you. Yeah. Alright guys, I've had stop number 1 and I just grabbed 2 giant bottles of water and filled up some petrol. Half an hour into the trip. Half an hour into a 10-hour trip. And I spent that whole half an hour crying because this is horrible and I miss my family. I miss the baby. I don't know at this point why the fuck I'm leaving. But yeah, gotta go. Don't know where I am. I'm at some like horrible toilet stop. I'm trying to get like my steps in. It's 11:22 a.m. and I've got 6.5 hours left. So that's 6.5 hours of driving with stops. It'll probably take me 10 hours. If I did no stops, it would take 8, but that's not gonna happen because I have got like 10 liters of water in there that I want to smash through, and food. I finally stopped crying and then my sister sent me a video of Rio. It just broke my heart. I'm in a bit of a better mood. I'm gonna do some of the questions. I'm so scattered. I feel so sad, guys. It's horrible. Anyway, what I really stopped for was to pee because I already had so much water, but I was gonna have some breakfast. Okay, I've got rolled oats, peanut butter and strawberries that I like pre-made and preheated before I got in the car. And then yesterday I meal prepped. Oh, it's cold, ew, whatever. I'm so not a princess with my food, I just love food so much. I prepped beef mince and vegetables and chicken and vegetables. I've got it in a cooler bag with some ice, like, you know, iced frozen stuff, like frozen strawberries and berries, so beans. Oh my god, my head is so scattered. Ew, oh. Was that a murder hornet? Be gone. I'm gonna finish my food and keep walking, get some steps in, and then smash the road. Hit the road.
Is there a heaven, there a hell? You know where I take it and you know I do it well.
Is this acceptable? Because I had to take my sneakies off and I've got my I've got my slippers on and I really need to pee, so this toilet looks rank. It's literally a shed. It's so Australian. Oh my god, I'm dying. This is the toilet and I'm wearing slippers. I am so gross. You know, ISO made me do it. Okay, wish me luck. Horrible. It was like a drop dunny. Do you guys know what drop dunnies are? Do you know what a dunny is? It's like Australian word slang for toilet. Yeah, it was like, there's like no pipes and sewage system. It's like a toilet that goes into some kind of, I don't even want to know. You don't flush it, it just goes into this thing. That was interesting. So far I've had phone calls with some friends, drunk a lot of water. You know how I said I had 10 liters of water? It's 3. Oh, also I've got 5 hours to go. 5 hours to go. Hi. It's actually quite hot. Just having a lunch break. I've got chicken, beans, cauliflower, carrot, broccoli, zucchini, basic bitch. And I thought I'll go through some of the like fire questions. Hungry. I'm like 3 hours and 50 minutes away from home. I just want to like smash it out and get there. Question 1. What is the meaning of your wrist tattoo? This one. Okay, so I hate this tattoo. I got it when I was 19 and I lived in Oxford in the UK for a year, and it was like I was just so desperate to get some ink. So actually it's my initials and my star sign. So S, J, my middle name's Jane, and little A for Alan, and I'm a Scorpio and the star sign is like an M with an arrow and it like on it, so that's what that is. And it's like, I hate it so much. I want to get it turned into something else. Lip fillers, just got mine done. Freaking out, the swelling, feeling like a duck face. It goes down. It's so funny when you first get them done, you're like, whoa. And then after like 4 days, they go down and you're like, oh damn it, I wish they were bigger. Like, go back to when they were swelling. I love mine the most when they first swell, but it is like a weird adjustment. Would you recommend Body Bloom? This is the Sarah's Day like tonic thing that I was taking. I've stopped taking it just because I ran out. I find it really hard to say yes or no because I don't know if it was helping me or if like it was something else, because I'm always trying different supplements for like my skin and my gut health. So I'd recommend trying it because it's a really good prebiotic, and just trying it and seeing if just adding that in makes a difference to your day-to-day living.
When did you have your first kiss?
I was in grade 6. I was with my high school boyfriend.
How old are you in grade 6? Like 12?
Good times. What's the best drunken night out you've had?
I used to be pretty wild, guys, like I'm not gonna lie. I partied a lot, I binge drank a lot, but I don't live my life like that anymore. I feel old saying that. Maybe from like 26 onwards, when I started getting fit and focusing on my health. Yeah, I would say probably because like I've lived overseas a lot. I just remember laughing, you know, it's just so fun being with your friends, and God, there's probably some crazy shit that I've done. There's some dumb shit that I've done. Guys, I had a fun youth. Like, would we call it fun? I had a wild youth, but yeah, I'm not really like that anymore. Sorry, I got rudely interrupted. I didn't really. There was just too many people around. And I thought, you know what, if I'm talking about this kind of shit, I don't want to be... It doesn't make sense, does it? Because I'm like... It's weird when I'm talking to a camera and talking about like weird shit versus, you know, putting this out into the world. I don't know if that makes any sense. So, let's hit another question while I do this. How do you count macros for rice when it's already cooked? Alright, I'm going to show you. Go to MyFitnessPal. Depending on what rice you're having. See this top one? This one says raw. You'll search for basmati rice cooked. Basmati rice cooked, and it'll have the different calories. So when it's cooked, it's gonna weigh more because it's absorbed the water. Cannot going poo emoji properly affect your number on the scales drastically? Yeah, it can. You literally like weigh yourself before you take a shit and then after you take a shit, and you'll see like, I don't know, you can even see up to like 300 grams difference. So I try to always weigh myself in the same conditions. Tips on bloating. Okay, I've just drunk so much water, I'm gonna need to stop and pee in like 30 minutes. Like, it's pretty much always relating to food. Oh, that reminds me, I haven't taken my other supplement. There are some like key foods that will trigger bloating for people, like common foods that trigger bloating, like gluten, dairy, processed foods, like sugary foods, and FODMAPs. So I try to eat low FODMAP, which isn't actually that hard, surprisingly. I've done a YouTube on low FODMAP life, so you can go and have a look at that. Yeah, start with taking out the common trigger foods. Water around meals also, because water can dilute the acidity lining of your stomach that helps to break down the food. So try to avoid drinking water like 30 minutes before, during, and after your meals. Tunes for the drive. I'm actually listening to all my liked songs in Spotify. If you guys want to follow me on Spotify, it's Sophie Jane Allen. I've got some bangers on there. Losing booty gains during quarantine. Yeah, look. We're all losing booty gains during quarantine without the gym, without the ability to lift heavier. There's so many things you can do to ensure you're still progressing or at least retaining your muscle. Hit your protein goal, train pretty much till failure for all of your training, and that's the best that you can do really, unless you got heavy weights, but just make sure you're progressing. I heard Train with So's a really good program for progression at home. Being on a fit journey, I don't lose easily. Does it take time to easily cut, bulk, and maintain? No. The more you diet, the harder it becomes because your body's self-defense system is more in tune. So it's like, oh no, we've been here before. We know how to fix this or counteract this. And the same goes in reverse. Like, whilst we have metabolic down regulation, we also have up regulation, which is kind of what reverse dieting is for. So if you've never done a diet before, you're in a freaking good position. But with that, let's talk about metabolic adaptations and where I'm at and why dieting is so hard right now. If you've been following me on my diet series, you'll know that I'm dieting. You'll also know that I've been in a plateau, and you'll know that dieting has been really difficult for me this time around comparatively. So if I look back to my previous diets, the first time I did like a proper diet, I was on 1950 calories over 12 weeks, and I got in insane shape. Here is a picture of what I looked like after 12 weeks on 1950 calories, dropping. So good. The next diet I did after that was for my bodybuilding competition. Here is a photo of what I looked like for that. I didn't even have to diet on crazy low calories. I think I was mostly on like 1500 for that diet, which is crazy. So I rebounded after that when I put the weight back on because I had no exit plan. And then the next diet I did was kind of like repairing that weight that I had regained. Yeah, I did my like photo shoot prep last year, and here are some photos of what I did there. And I think I was on the same. I was on like 1500. I went down to 1400 for a little bit, and then I did like a 4-day stint at 1200, and that's as low as my calories got on that diet. I did gain weight coming out of that because I went into a bulking phase, but I didn't properly reverse diet out of it. I was like a bit of a dickhead with it. I wasn't consistent, and then I did gain weight, and I went from about 57 or 56 kilos to like 65, and I was looking good there. I don't know what happened. I had like a rapid gain of like 3 kilos, and that was around I think my birthday, where I was drinking more. The more you diet, the smarter the body's self-defense system gets for when you do go back into a deficit. It resists it more. And then there's also the case of efficient and inefficient metabolisms. Mine is efficient, where it adjusts really quickly. I can't help but feel like a failure because I feel like I messed up, but I did learn a lot of valuable lessons, and there's no way I will be in that position again. I will update you all on what I'm doing with the diet because I'm going to start cycling calories, and this is to try and like help with my metabolism. It's not broken, my metabolism's not broken, it's just really down-regulated. The next question was about being single at 30 and pressures and expectations for having babies and being married. I don't have any family pressure or friend pressure. My family is like really close and really open. I share a lot with my family, and I really value their opinion. Like even my dad knows so much about my life and like how I really feel about being single. And like, you know, sometimes I have those moments where I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually gonna meet the kind of person that I want to end up with. Like, I think it's normal to have those doubts until it happens. I think it's important to figure out what you want. There's societal pressure on women to have a baby by a certain age because of our clock ticking. Fuck, I hate that. Society and movies and culturally. So that's why people ask, and they're not doing it to be rude. They're doing it because they think that we need these things to be happy. It's good to challenge that and be like, oh, you know what? Why do you think I should? Like, I'm fine with where I'm at. I'm not in a hurry to do it because I don't want to do it for the sake of doing it. I would rather wait to meet the freaking man of my dreams and make a tiny us together than meeting anyone for the sake of getting married. On that, let's talk about loneliness. I've got a headache from crying so much. Owies. Okay, I really like this topic because one of my biggest realizations when I was in a shit relationship with a guy, and everyone always asks me like, who's your ex? You always talk about. Lol, it was my coach. How cliche am I? Anyway, we don't need to name names, but the one before that was really good. 3 years. He's the one I moved to Sydney with. We ended on good terms. But yeah, so my ex, I was like the one before. One of my biggest realizations in that, you can still feel lonely even if you're not alone. So I was in this relationship where I felt alone every single day because I didn't feel respected. I didn't feel heard. We couldn't communicate. I tried for the life of me, and you guys know what I'm like. I'm really good at communicating. Like, mindset thing, it's my jam. And you know, I would cry myself to sleep every single night. Like, what the hell? Who is that different me? Lifetime ago. And I just realized, I'm like, you know what? You can be in a relationship and you can still feel alone, and you can be alone and not feel lonely or feel lonely. Like, being alone doesn't equal lonely. It just means that you are in the presence of yourself. Like right now, I'm alone. I don't feel lonely. It's because I feel fulfilled and loved by so many people and my beautiful family, and sometimes I do feel lonely. I'm like, oh, you know what would be really nice when I'm sitting alone in my apartment? Some company. It's also a feeling that you should honor because it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Like, it's normal to feel lonely if you're alone sometimes. Am I gonna move to Melbourne? Okay guys, I know Melbourne and I have like a love-hate relationship, and you always see me like, usually when I'm there on my Insta stories, I'll be like, it's so cold, Melbourne, boo. I really do love Melbourne. Like, I grew up 2 hours south of Melbourne in like a little beach town. My whole life's been in Melbourne. Like, my first job, my first kind of proper boyfriend, and then he and I moved to Sydney. And the first year we were in Sydney, we were like, this is cool, but like Melbourne's home. Like we're from Melbourne, we're Melburnians. You can't take Melburnians out of Melbourne. And then when I moved to the coast, I was like, what? This is what Sydney's about. This is living. So yeah, when we broke up a year after moving there and living together and stuff, he went back to Melbourne and I stayed in Sydney and I absolutely loved it, even though it was horribly difficult. But I have this feeling when I'm in Sydney that it's just home. Alright, so there's lots of questions about like bulking, maintaining and cutting. So I will take you guys through my entire end of diet, reverse diet as part of the diet series. So once we've finished our diet, we figure out what our new maintenance calories are. But I would probably go back to like 1450, 1500 calories to start with for the first week, first 1 to 2 weeks, just to see if I keep dropping or if I gain. Reverse dieting is the process of incrementally adding in calories, whether it's every week or every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks, depending on where your metabolism's at. Once you get to your new maintenance, which is where you don't gain or lose weight, that's when you start reverse dieting. You want to do a slow approach. Again, people are going to respond differently. Just be consistent so your body can adjust to those calories, and it will eventually, like I said, you can have metabolic downregulation, you can also have upregulation, which is why we reverse diet. The most important thing is to continue to track your data, continue to track your calories, track your weigh-ins, just keep following everything as is, and that's where I stuffed up. I just kind of didn't do that. Is bulking during ISO mad? Personally, I wouldn't do it because I'm not lifting crazy amounts of weight to really be putting the extra food to use to build muscle. I'd try and do it for maintenance, but it depends on your home gym setup. If you've got heavy weights, then by all means go for it. You just got to make sure your program's on lock. Like it's got to be good for building muscle. It's got to be programmed with progression and strength in mind. Question is, how am I dealing with quarantine? Actually fine. It's going to be really interesting being back in Sydney and doing ISO without my family. I've had the best ISO situation because I'm usually alone in my apartment. If I did that alone for ISO, I reckon I would have gone pretty mental because it's a small apartment. But being home with my family has just been the best. Like honestly, I'll look back on my time in this pandemic and have nothing but positive memories other than the horrible stuff in the world going on. But my personal experience will be such positive memories because I met my nephew, I got to spend such quality time with him and basically be like a second mom and be around my family. It's been great. Check in again in a week's time after I've been back in Sydney and we'll see how I'm going. Alright, I just stopped to get petrol, but I had like so many phone calls, so I'm now only 2 hours away. I'm so hungry, but I'm sitting in a petrol station in the way. It's disgusting, it's cold, but whatever. No! Okay, gotta go. Imagine if I got Red Rooster.
You can try, but you'll never get by, baby.
Home sweet home. I've got MasterChef on, so I'm feeling a little bit less lonely. Yeah, I got home, I just literally was on the phone the whole way, and the trip wasn't too bad just because I was on the phone, and it was a lot quicker on the drive back to Sydney than the way down. Maybe because I was like more excited to get down and see the baby on the way down 7 weeks ago versus now when I'm like coming home to a dead fiddle leaf fig. I'm feeling really weird, guys. Like my sister and I just messaging, we're just like, oh my god, I miss you, like you're my best friend. I really miss her and the baby and Simo. So I didn't get to all the questions, but I think I got through heaps, and honestly I'm just feeling a bit funny right now. Like it's good to be back. It's like mixed emotions. It's good to be back in my space, smaller than I remember, but it's so weird having done 7 weeks with people to coming home and not coming home to anyone. It's just quiet and my eyes are red from crying. It's weird that I can't just jump in the car quickly and see them. You know, I have to jump in the car for 10 hours if I want to see them. And I'm so lucky that they are just 10 hours away, you know, compared to people that have it worse, you know, international and stuff. But my family is really like, they're the closest people I have in my life. And it's really hard not having them here. So I miss them. This is gonna be a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. Sorry to be finishing this on a negative note. I'm just gonna go because I'm just not really feeling like filming myself that much, and make some food and go to bed. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, do all the stuff, subscribe, like, notifications on, and I'll see you here with the video really soon.